Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Kausha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled A-N-D, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. This is week 16, and once again, I would ask you to get a pencil and paper. I think you'll need a pencil and paper today. So while I'm talking about the first end of this recording, maybe you could find a pencil and paper. One thing I'd like to clarify now, this is our 16th week, and I've said a lot of things. We've traveled, you and I, you who have been listening in regularly, we've traveled through many miracles, many episodes, many amazing things. And so I want to clarify something to be helpful. I do start out every week explaining that this is not a religion, and we don't try to change people's religion or get you to join any certain religion, and that's true. That's because I've learned in the last 50 years, if you become a friend of God, He takes you and leads you by the hand wherever He wants. I can make a very simple statement here. If you are really, actually, truly a friend of God, He befriends you like a human friend. He comes to meet you. He knows you're a human being. He knows you're not a god. So He comes and relates to you and meets you where you're at. I've said many times in the past, if you wanted to become a friend with your pet dog or your pet cat or your pet bird, if you wanted to do that, and you could do it, if you could possibly become a dog or a bird or a cat for an hour just to relate to them and befriend them for 1 hour, you would do it. Well, God can do it. So God became our friend on a personal basis. So the fact is, when you're God's friend, and certainly in the form of Jesus is the easiest way to do this. If you're talking to God in the form of Jesus, it's the easiest way to relate to Him, and that's why He came to us in the form of Jesus, so that we can relate to Him. He made Himself 12 apostles, 12 friends when He came. So it doesn't matter what religion you are. There's 41,000 religions on the planet right now, Christian religions, 41,000. So I'm not going to debate which one's right. But all 41,000 believe in Jesus as their personal friend. Okay, so if you're doing that, even if you're talking to God like Moses did, they were certainly close friends. And when that happens, it solves a lot of the questions and frustrations, and you realize you don't need a religion. You do need to be a friend of God, and that's the purpose of all religions anyway, to help us to become a friend of God. Now, I hasten to add that you can do this by just starting out, walking around talking to God and asking him questions, and, that's how you can become a friend of God. I've done that for many, many years. But eventually, it dawns on you, and God inspires you, that he's left already, before you were born, he's left a whole history of many people talking to him, many people asking questions, many people making mistakes, etc. He's left 7,000 years of history. And you can find all that 7,000 years of history in the Bible. The Old Testament and the New Testament combined, and then it's been 2,000 years since then. So we've had 5,000 years of history. We've had 10,000 saints, 10,000 saints in the last 2,000 years, and we have their life stories documented as well. You can read the lives of the saints. So you have 7,000 years of history if you want to avail yourself of that. And the easiest way is just get a Bible and read the Bible and refer to it, and you'll already gain all that experience, all that wisdom, while you're still walking and talking with God. And perhaps you still don't have a religion, but at least you get this jump start of 7,000 years. So I would encourage you, if you don't have a religion, at least get yourself a Bible. The best Bible that I recommend for people, easy to read, is called, it's an acronym, 4 letters to remember, NABRE. N for new, A for American, B for Bible, and R revised, and E is edition. So it's NABRE, that's what it's called, New American Bible Revised Edition. It's a comfortable language to read in. Okay. So one other thing I would add now is another topic, but to help you with this notion of you don't need a religion. I do what God tells me when I'm paying attention. I talk to him often. I don't talk to him constantly every minute of every day because I'm still human. However, talking to him all the time brings wonderful miracles. And so one night I was on my way to bed, and I asked God how I did today. We talked a little bit, and he said, "Why don't you turn the TV on before you go to bed?" So I did. I turned the TV on, and lo and behold, there was this priest on there giving a lecture, and I caught the tail end of the lecture. It was on the network called EWTN. That's E for Eternal, W for World, television network, EWTN. And it was Father Rutler, spelled R-U-T-T-L-E-R, Rutler. And he was on, I guess it was, I know it was after midnight anyway. You'd have to check their schedule. But he was at the end of his talk, and he said he met a woman who did not have religion. And one day after one of his sermons, she came up to him and said, I heard one of your sermons about 2 months ago, which changed my life. She said, I didn't really have a religion. I came here just to listen to your lectures. And I've decided now that I'm going to follow a religion because of one of your lectures. And she said, here's what happened to me. She said, I've had a pet dog now for many, many years, and I've come to know him. I live alone. I'm a single person, and I've known this dog for many, many years, and we've become really great friends. And I've noticed his habits, his likes, his dislikes. I paid attention to him, and I've come to meet him more than halfway to be a good friend of his. So I guess I could say to you, I've come to love this dog over the years by getting to know him. And in one of your lectures, Father, I came to realize that 2,000 years ago, Jesus, who did not know me at all at the time, and I wasn't even born yet, but he gave his life for me to give me the opportunity to get to heaven. And she said, if someone could love me enough to give their life for me 2,000 years ago before they know me, I understand what it's like to love my dog. Well, if that person could do that for me, then I need to meet them halfway, and that's why I'm joining a religion. So this is one person's reason for joining a religion, and I'm not suggesting you need to join a religion, but at least I would suggest you get yourself a Bible, the NABRE version, and at least look at the Old Testament, the back of the Bible. It starts out with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, those books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Start reading those toward the end. Read from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John onward. At least that way you'll get an experience of what this man Jesus was like and what his mother was like and what his apostles were like. So at least you'll know that much Then you can read the lives of the saints from the last 2,000 years, and you'll get to see how they met God, how they talked to God every day, how they had miracles every day, and all of that will help you tremendously. So you may never have a religion, but at least you'll know the Bible from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John on, and then you'll know some of the saints in history. Just Google any name at all, just put the word saint in front of it. And while I'm telling you all this, I should tell you how you can listen to prior week lectures. All you have to do is Google wcatradio.com/miracles/ Once again, Google wcat, that's C-A-T, radio.com/miracles/. One more time, wcatradio.com/miracles/, and you'll be able to listen to all the past recordings and all the upcoming new ones as well. All right, the next miracle I'd like to share with you is called the Family of Five. That means 5 members, the Family of Five. As you all know from past recordings, I have little business cards that talk all about the 2 books that I wrote. The titles of the books are Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles, and the little cards tell them what to Google, like I just gave you, that address, WCAT Radio, so that people can get a lot of free information. So I pass these cards out regularly, practically every day. If I meet new people or see people that God inspires me to give them a card, and it's been helping many people to learn about God and miracles on this little business card. And so one day I was at a favorite vacation spot one summer day, and I was inspired to pass out cards while I was at this vacation spot. And as I came upon a person, I handed him a card, and I didn't realize that I was handing a card to a person, but it was a family of 5. And they all gathered around and started asking questions, and I was so amazed. I felt like I really opened a lecture here, but they were so fascinated about God and questions and miracles. They were asking all kinds of questions, and I could see they were, nodding their head yes, and they were seeing affirmations, and something I was saying was matching what they thought, and they were happy with it. And then the mother called me aside. It turned out there were husband and wife, 2 daughters, and the 5th person wasn't there yet, but the mother called me aside with the father and said, look, we're very, very concerned about our son. He's been having these experiences, nightmares at night. He has inspirations in the middle of the day that he's confused about. He's finished college, but he's changing his career. He's got us very confused, and we're worried about him. He keeps saying it's God, and we're not sure he's really talking to God. We'd be so delighted if you could talk to him. Oh, here he comes. They said, please, if you could just listen to him where he's at and answer some of his questions, we'd really appreciate it. So I did. He came over, and he was a very cordial young man, and we started having a great discussion. Well, we all talked for about 20 minutes. Everybody had questions. I kept getting a flurry of questions. Everybody was fascinated with the answers and interested. It turns out that the young man was precisely right. He was the only one in the whole family that was talking to God every day, asking God questions, asking for inspirations, and he was getting the answers. The family, very much church-goers. They had a religion. They had the same religion. They went to church every week. They practiced their religion. But none of them, not one of them, talked to God, asked God questions, listened to God. They didn't know that the Bible and the Catechism explains that you could talk to God. You can ask God questions. God does talk to you. And so we spent all this 20 minutes. I convinced them by things I knew from my life that they could do that everybody who talks to God, asks him questions, will get answers. It's a promise that God made for us. He's always there for us. And now the whole family is talking to God, and they found that the son was correct. God bless you all, and keep talking to God every day, and I'll talk to you next week.